Hi, you guys. It's Tamika Chambers with the podcast Create a Generational Love Cycle. And so today is May 28, 2021, and it is the Friday before Memorial Day. And so I do want to just hope that you guys have a wonderful, safe holiday weekend, that remember you are with yourself 24/7, and that, to my knowledge, everybody can tell you what to do, but will they be there if you get sick, if you're in the hospital? And so please take caution as necessary. I know a lot of people are going to be outside. Just really pay attention to your surroundings. Not that you're paranoid about it, but really pay attention to who you're around. So anyway, there's been a lot of talk about the generational cycle of pain. And I mentioned it in my memoir, Bent Not Broken, about this generational cycle of pain and how, unfortunately, many of us grew up in this cycle. And many of us have had our voices shunned because, what was mentioned in the Me You Can't See by Oprah and Prince Harry was many fathers, mothers, parents do not want to admit that something is going on with their child. And so this was the first week I actually really started watching the Me You Can't See. And it's been a very eye-opening series, just learning about OCD and anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts and panic attacks. And it's just amazing to see so much strength in people that are coping every day with different mental health issues. And it's heart-wrenching when you just want to take all of that mental health and just replace it with joy. And so I didn't make a podcast about pain, breaking the cycle of pain, although I thought about it. But like Mother Teresa said, I'm not about, if you want me to join, I'm not going to be against something. I'm going to be for it. So instead of breaking the cycle, let's recreate. Instead of breaking the cycle, let's create a generational love cycle. And basically, the Me You Can't See, the whole theme I see around that is truth. Truth, and helping us to break free of these generational thoughts and habits that, just act like you're okay and don't worry, you'll be okay. And you're still just struggling inside with whatever it was that happened to you. There's nothing wrong with you, which I love that Prince Harry said that, but more of what happened to you. And so even with me, myself, if you haven't read my blogs on tamikaschambers.com, before the age of 5, I had my first introduction to the generational cycle of pain. And it was my father. He was physically, emotionally, and mentally abusing my mother. And I reported that. But the backlash I received from that reporting from my father basically told me I had no right telling what was going on at home. So there's no doubt that him saying that and me internalizing it, because it's not just what happened to you, it's what you actually internalize. And so I internalized seeds of doubt were planted in my inner garden. And those seeds of doubt led me to not using my voice when 2 male family members took me into the dark wilderness of sexual abuse. And so for approximately 5 years, I lived with that dark secret because the doors were there, the exits were there, but I just couldn't see them because there was so much confusion. There was so much doubt in me. I knew it was wrong, but it's like, how do you tell when it's already happened? And that's where I was. It's already happened. So you feel guilty that somehow you've allowed that to happen to you, but there's not so much in your mind that, okay, you're just a child though. And so I held on to this dark secret, and it when that happened, I did call out for help. And who I called out to help for was nature, to God. I knew about God. My mom had talked about God, about being a just God and being there. And I stood in the darkness and I called out to him and said, help me. I didn't want to go through that again. And so a series of steps or events happened where I started reading the Bible. I got a Bible and I read it from front to back over several days. I got a bookmark of the Lord's Prayer, and I kneeled beside my mother's bed, and I didn't get up until I knew it word for word, which took about 15 minutes. I watched the portrayal of Jesus and his character traits, and realized that was the kind of person I wanted to be. That I didn't know anything about sexual abuse at that time. I didn't know anything about rape and blackmail and manipulation. I just knew that having sex was wrong. And I knew that once the secret was out 5 years later, I knew that I didn't want to go through something like that ever again. So I called out to nature, and I feel like that's been the primary, seeking the infinite intelligence, who I call God, seeking out God and saying, God, help me. I want to have a good life, and I know I can have a good life. So I didn't focus on what happened to me. A change of events happened where I started looking at life from a student perspective. I didn't try not to look at it as an attack. I looked at it, okay, what else can I learn that can help me navigate this world? Since I really can't rely on a lot of people, because I had a lot of myths. And when we're talking about breaking a generational love cycle, breaking a generational cycle of pain, we have to look not only at all of the truths of who we are and what we're born into, but we also have to dispel those myths. And I had myths. I thought that family members are supposed to love you and protect you, and they know what's right to do, and they guide you. And, the whole thing about be seen and not heard, all of that took place. And it was over a period of years where I started demystifying all of that information. And I started more focusing on what I wanted. And so what I want to leave you with today is that healing from the inside out, because that's what this podcast is about, is giving you tips on healing from the inside out, is that we have to know our truths, and we have to know all of our truths, meaning what we went through. We have to recognize that, we have to acknowledge it, we have to accept it, what we went through, right? And the way we accept it is knowing that we are not our experiences, that we have to take a step back and say, wait a minute, this happened to me. I am not that experience. It happened to me. And I know for me, there's nothing a child can do that can makes an adult do something wrong, or make an adult or bring about sexual feelings. There's nothing a child can do. That all belongs to that person. You can't do that. Reasoning tells you that children aren't the ones you're supposed to be having sex with, period. And so part of that is really accepting our truth, which is the first thing I talk about in my memoir, Bent Not Broken, is that I had to accept the truth in order to move forward. My mom would tell me, accept the truth, you can move forward, and so I knew that if I wanted to enjoy life to the fullest, which I had a strong desire to do so, that I needed to accept what happened, and I needed to put it in a perspective that would benefit me and not hurt me. So I didn't spend a lot of time in alcohol and drugs, having a father that was into alcohol and drugs. That wasn't appealing to me. What was appealing to me is that because I had been through pain, I needed to be the opposite of pain. I needed to stay away from those things that were painful so I can be more loving. And so again, when we are acknowledging, when we're trying to break this cycle of pain, we must accept, acknowledge what happened to it in all its entirety. And also to accept those things that are true about you, things that you enjoy, things that you like. And those are the things that we focus on. So I hope that just seeing all the pain and the things that people go through with anxiety and depression, I hope that you will see that acknowledging your truth is the first step to unlocking the door to your healing path. Your healing path is there and waiting for you. So that is one of the first steps we can do to create this love cycle, because I feel like this. I know pain, and I'd rather not have it. I'd rather not have it. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that as we end Women's Health Month, that I will start focusing in June on truth and acknowledging our truths and giving you tips to do that. So I'll have some downloads, and I pray that, again, that you have a great weekend. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And I pray that you're on the path to acknowledging your truth, because that is the way that we heal from the inside out. Thank you so much, guys. This is Tamika Chambers with Create a Generational Love Cycle. Take care.